Any thoughts, Joe, on how we can create sustainable APY? So why don't you go
Sure.
first, since it's directed to you, and then I'll kind of
You have
bring up
you have you have two things that you can consider here. Okay. The first has to do with kind of the inflation of tokenomics. Now, every project in existence is going to have some inflation schedule or emission schedule, right? The amount of tokens that come to market at some pre-predictable rate usually. And, so to some degree, every project has a certain element of inflation. Now, how much is too much? How much is way too much? And how much is just insane is something that I guess we're seeing tested in real time in terms of sustainability. Now, if you look at it in terms of a more practical sense, it has to do with use and utility more than anything, where beyond the actual emission of a cryptocurrency, you also have the ability to borrow, and you have a certain interest rate or yield that's put on top of the cost of borrowing, which is often based on demand, right? So I think that if you look at it from an actual demand and use case side, which you do see with some stable coins on larger exchanges, that's actually viable, right? Meaning it's the result of economic activity versus just a programmed inflation rate. And I don't think that traders or people in the industry necessarily look at those two things as separate. They just see a percentage, right? And so it's a matter of saying, okay, well, what is the energy or economic activity behind that particular percentage? And ultimately, if it's based on use, I see it as more sustainable. Now, that's not to say that, Ergo has a certain inflation rate. Now, it's kind of in the downtrend, but it's still expanding the token supply on the market. So I guess we're just kind of seeing this tested across, potentially thousands of projects at the same time. What is a sustainable APY? Now, again, my perspective is that if it's based on actual economic use, utility, and demand, it's growing in the right direction. If it's based just on emission programming and wild game theory, it might just go up and then the end. Well, let's see.
Yeah, well, basically, you just, you pretty much answered my answer. And my answer to that is pretty simple. As Joe said, demand and sustainability. What is the true demand for this token? Is it just because people want to buy it to get APY, or is there actually a real use case for this token or this coin? And so demand and utility follow sustainability. So if you have true utility and true demand that is not only based on people coming in and looking at it and say, we have a million, gajillion, bajillion APY, I'm going to dump more money into it. There's actually utility to it, then it's sustainable. And that will then dictate what the APY is. So it's all about sustainability. It's all about sustainability of the APY and the underlying utility of what people are putting money into, because there are some DeFi products out there that are completely insane and it's not sustainable. And it's kind of like you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's almost like a Ponzi scheme. In fact, sometimes it is a Ponzi scheme.
Well, Dan, I think we can look at it this way to some degree. Let's call it the Scarface index, okay? If I were to go to Colombia and I were to buy cocaine wholesale and then come to the U.S. market and sell it, I would get about 44 times my money back, right?
Well, you know that really well.
Yeah. So if you can actually overcome the cocaine profit margin, yeah, that's insane. Why would anyone sell cocaine or move drugs or do any of these illicit activities that come with basically, life altering risks? If you can just buy a coin in your basement and, outperform the economic utility of cocaine trade, which is highly profitable, but also highly dangerous, right? So if anything passes that threshold, in my opinion, I say, okay, well, that's completely insane. Either it's going to become adopted and solve all of the criminal and, let's say, dark market problems because it's outperforming the economic benefits of them, or it's not going to be sustainable. I think that's like a very common sense baseline is the Scarface index. If you can beat the profitability of that without having any actual output or risk or utility, yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, if you can make more money than Sosa or Tony Montana, it's too good to be true.
Solid.
That's